Hi and welcome to another presentation here at ABG Investor Days. My name is Simon Granat and I work as an equity analyst at ABG and I cover IT and tech companies, and one of the companies that I cover is Pricer. And with us today we have the CEO Magnus Larsson, who will present the company for about 20 minutes and then we will follow up with a Q&A session. So with that said, Magnus, please go ahead and present.
All right, thanks a lot. Hello everybody, my name is Magnus. I'm the acting CEO of Pricer since February. And today I plan to present Pricer, what we do, what makes us an interesting company, and hopefully excite you to spend more time with us into the future. So I would like to start with speaking a little bit about Pricer and what we do and why we do it. And not knowing how much you know about us, and if you have had any time to read up before, I will speak about the solutions and the products for a start. What if you imagine the future of retail? So Pricer, we're in retail space. We've been working with retail since early 90s, since 91. But then looking forward, not backwards. So how do you imagine the future of retail? When I think about future retail, I see in front of myself the reinvigorated physical store where customers go to experience something, where they go to have a fantastic shopping experience, where shopping is easy, where it's fun-filled. They know they might have a list of things they want to buy. They find it. They can get directions if they need from their app. They get recommendations. They know the price is right. They have an easy experience doing the payments. But they also get inspired, they get excited, they see a lot of things that makes them want to learn more, get to know things, test new things. So basically at the time they leave the store, they know they want to come back. And they also feel that from a retailer point of view that their brand mission has been fulfilled. So this is sort of the ambition. When I look at the future of retail, this is what I see. So a lot of things will happen and basically the physical store will really offer the best environment for this fantastic customer experience. And with this in mind, I've sort of now created this slide. So what we do is that we deliver the smart retail in-store solution for retailer. So what does that mean? They mean that we build solutions that enable a shopper to get a fantastic experience in the store. They should be able to basically find what they need. They should get the price they need. If they're looking for something, it should be on the shelf. If the product, for whatever reason, is not on the shelf, there might be a recommendation saying, well, you were looking for this product, but we would recommend that you have this product. Our solutions also enable the retailers, the store owner, the chains, to run their store in an efficient way. We help them by a lot of different kind of use cases. It could be cases for doing replenishment. So their staff needs to stock up. And then with the help of our flashing of the labels, we can direct them and say that this is what you should do. When they do the click and collect, they have a web order. We will make sure that they can do it in a faster way. When they have new staff that is not aware of the store, or the layout, or how things are working, we can help them with the directions, and the store can actually lead them in the process to make it faster and better. We also want to make sure that we help the retailers maintain the customers in the store. And one of the reasons why customers are leaving is that they don't find the product they're looking for. They go to a store with a very specific target in mind. Let's say they want to buy a hammer, and for whatever reason they cannot find this hammer because it's not in stock, it's out of shelf. Very often, instead of staying and shopping the hammer and getting a few more products, they will leave, and at worst they will actually go to another store and just realize that they like this other store better. So for a retailer to attract and keep the customer is key, and the best way of doing that is make sure that they always have the product on the shelf that they want. So this is why we have solutions also to make sure that we help them know what they have on the stock or on the shelf, and we know that we can actually help them with an action to replenish or reorder or market something else, an alternative product. But we also give solutions that will create appealing promotions, that they can actually not only then create the customer satisfaction or get the cost down through efficiencies, but also that we make sure that they they increase the sales by having good, appealing promotions. We inspire customer and excite them, and they just realize that I really have to buy this fish and do it this way that I could see on the promotion. So we try to basically cover all these areas. We want to make sure that the retailers get happy customers, that we are part of this journey, that we get the cost down, and that we get sales up. But how do we do it? So, well, there is an underlying technology, of course. And historically, we've been focusing on selling electronic shelf labels, or ESLs. Those are the digital price tags that you will find in a store. And what separates us from the rest? Well, our technology is the most reliable, the fastest in response time, and it's extremely energy efficient. And of course, this is something that I guess that everyone will actually claim. But we do have a unique selling point compared to the rest, actually. We have made a technological choice once upon a time. So we communicate through IR, whereas most of the guys are using radio. And this might sound like a pretty basic thing, but it gives us the ability to be extremely efficient when it comes to energy. So when the retailer, when they want to update the price several times a day, when they want to use the flash to direct the staff, when they want to change the display to look at the stock or information about next delivery, all this stuff they want to do, we know that we can do it for much longer than anyone else. And this is one of the key requirements when you sell the service to a retailer. They want to make sure that the information they have on the screen is correct, and they want to make sure they do not have to change the battery or change the display, and they want to keep this for a very long time. And here we have a unique position. We have also developed a camera and a product called Shelf Vision that we mount on retail shelves. So we can basically then monitor the availability of products on the shelf. And if we realize that there is a gap, then we'll send an alarm to the retailer saying that we have notified that you have a gap, or we have seen that you have a gap on this specific product. And we'll let them take an action. So we said that we will not take the action, but we'll make sure that with extreme accuracy. And here, actually, we base whatever we do on our own patented technology. And with this technology, there is no one that can actually come to the accuracy that we can. So then we'll give them a guidance and say that, you have to do something about this product. And through a number of pilots that we've done now, we've seen that we managed to reach accuracy levels that the retailers say, well, this is fantastic. And this is actually something that will, make it worthwhile for us to make an investment in this technology, because you are helping us to keep our customers in the store. All this is tied together with a SaaS component. Historically, we've been very much a hardware company. We have developed since a couple of years ago more software components and a SaaS solution. We call it Pricer Plaza. And it's orchestration and management of not only our own products like the ESLs and the infrastructure, but also functionality features. The store app that we have is a software for retailers to actually do the basic operations in the store, but also to manage the shelf vision, but also third-party solutions. So I see that over time there will be more and more third-party solutions also in the Pricer Plaza space that we call Pricer Mall. So this as large is actually what we do and how we help retailers. Looking at who these retailers are, here is one of those brag slides, but I'm really proud to present it. So we have Carrefour, where we have an exclusive contract. It's one of the leader retailers in the world. They choose to sign an exclusive agreement for our technology for all their own operations, but also for all their independent stores, for the franchises and companies associated with Carrefour. They all have the right and are recommended by Carrefour to use our technology. And this was done after a pretty long period where they were testing the use cases, they were testing the reliability of the system. They were spending a whole lot of time understanding how they can actually maximize the profit working with ourselves and our solutions. And then we were selected. So we have business with Carrefour in quite a few countries across the world. We have Leroy Merlin, who is a really large do-it-yourself company, one of the leading ones in France, where we use our technology for their do-it-yourself in France. We have Canadian Tire. That's a pretty recent win. We won it in 2020, and we are now deploying at full scale. This is what you can call a general retailer. They have pretty much anything you can imagine in their stores. The biggest stores have up to almost 150,000 separate units or SKUs in the store. So it's a massive operation. And here we have an exclusive agreement for them for Canada. Norgesgruppen, retailer within food. It's one of the biggest in Norway. We work with pretty much all their formats and brands. Best Buy, it was our first major win in the US market or North American market. We have deployed more than almost 1,100 stores or in both US and Canada. So I think that's actually all the Best Buy stores that there is. And I can see the effect now. I was just coming back this morning from a trip to the US, where our sales team told us that they basically get calls on a daily basis now from people that have seen us, especially in Best Buy stores, but we can see the same thing also in the Canadian market now. So having this installed base where it's a nice install, where it's everywhere, and with such a well-known brand as Best Buy, has been a fantastic promotion for us. And for the Swedes on the call, we have a lot of stores together with Inga from most of their different formats, both the Maxi and supermarket type, and so on. So that's pretty much some examples of our customers. So what are the trends in the market? I mentioned inflation as point number one. Inflation is not really a trend. That's more an event maybe that's actually triggering investment decisions. We can see it's driving the ESL take-up, and it's going back to one of the founding ideas of the company. When Pricer was founded in 91, we had this massive inflation in Sweden, and they just realized it would be easy, instead of printing massive amount of paper to change the pricing, if they can do it electronically. And we can see that now. Store owners, we have examples from Sweden where last year or the year before, typically from getting the interest in buying to actually buying was 1 to 1.5 years. Now it's down to 2 to 3 months from first contact until they actually have a deployment. So here we can see it's clear trigger. We see that also in other European countries. We see the same thing in the US. Another thing that we've seen a lot of in the US especially is how limited staff availability is affecting the need for ESLs. If there is no staff available, and in the US this is a fact, it's really hard to get people. And wherever you go, you can see staff wanted sign. You can see that there are not enough tills or point of sales open because there's no people. So if they can get a system like ours to actually help directing the staff, making sure they can work with less people, it will help them. It will help them to stay open. It will help them to have the staff they have working with, helping the customers and making sure that the basic functionality of the store is running. We can also see that many retailers are now seriously investing in digital transformation, where they look at the back office, they look at the PDAs, they look at all their in-store processes. And here, of course, we have a core place in that strategy, because then we will actually make it materialize in the store. It will be easy for the customers to see and for the directions of the staff. But we've seen it gradually increasing over the last couple of years, but now it's more than a trend, it's a fact. We can see they are also getting ready. So they spent some years investing in the basics, and now it's in place. So now they're ready for the next step, where we would actually come in play. The shelf vision pilots, I mentioned it briefly before. We are running a number of pilots. They are successful. We have achieved availability, or where we can actually analyze gaps and say that you have a definite gap in your shelf with more than 95% accuracy. And at that point of time, it's a definite go, because then you can see that this investment will make a whole lot of sense for the retailer, because they will be able to get products on the shelf and then keep the customers in the store. And final thing that we see is the digital solutions. And when I speak about digital solutions, it's also about signage solutions. So we can see now with the 4 colors displays that are coming, and I will touch upon that a little bit later. The bridge between our electronic shelf labels, which are based on e-ink paper, and displays that could typically be LED or LCD or a number of TVs connected together, is growing smaller. We can see an interest from customers, both existing and new customers, to actually say that Pricer, if you do the ESLs, we also would like you to do the communications on our store TV or on a LED display, where we can see some videos as well doing promotions, sort of ending up in the more of a sales pitch. So those are the key trends or events that we see right now. Looking at who we are. I saved this one a little bit later. It was initially first, but I think it's better here. So what we've done so far, we've sold basically 250 million ESLs. We manufacture right now around 25 million ESLs a year. 200 employees or 220 employees. We have sold our systems to 19,000 stores in more than 17 countries. We have offices in 10 different locations in Europe, in Asia, and in Americas. And on the financial side, now looking at the last 5 years that are all public, we have had a CAGR of 21%. We are actually the only company that has been profitable for 5 years. I think until today, we're pretty much only been the only company that has been profitable, even though we can see that some people are getting in that direction. And of course, without saying too much, I expect further growth for the company. Then the Q2, or the first quarter this year. Here we actually had a record order intake. It was the second highest order intake ever. And from a net sales point of view, it was the highest Q1 we've actually ever had. The flip side of the coin was, of course, that we had to issue a profit warning when we were affected by the increased cost sides in the aftermath of the pandemic. But what I really like to highlight is the fact that we are growing, and that we are growing quite a bit. So that's what I would like you to stay with and keep that in mind. This is my final slide. So summarizing, there is a clear need for in-store digitalization, pretty much any form, and we can see that it's growing. We can see that the market is growing very fast. We can see that, and that might also be like a trigger. We see that certain markets are just waiting for that ignition. In Netherlands, we can see it happened when 2019, Ahold decided to actually go for ESLs. Then 2020 followed by Plus, then 2021 followed by Jumbo, and pretty much going from zero to a massive deployment with all the top 3 retailers happen in just 3 years. And that's something I expect to see in quite a few markets now. Inflation, lack of staff, I mentioned it, it's event triggering investments. We will see that will happen both in Europe and in the US market. I would imagine that will also happen on the APAC market. Then launching 4-color ESL. It sounds like a pretty trivial thing. So up until today, we've been able to do 3 colors in an ESL. And in our case, we've sold black, white, and red. It has been possible to do black, white, and yellow as well. But with 4-color, we all of a sudden have the possibility to address especially the retail market, the grocery retail market in US, in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, New Zealand, where there has been, and probably many other countries, actually many other countries as well, but there has been a habit of actually combining red and yellow when you do promotion. Red for a good price, yellow for the promotion. And the fact that we haven't been able to get that in ESL has been enough reason for some of the grocery retailers to say, we're going to wait until we actually have the 4-color. And now come to the really nice thing, because the 4-color requires a lot of power, something like 30% more power than the traditional ESL, which means that with our ability to do very energy efficient communication, we are basically in best position of all competitors to actually deliver this to a retailer that want to have, it should be a standard ESL, we want it to live long, and we want to use it frequently. Well, you should come to us, because we will be the only guys that can deliver it properly within the coming couple of years. But having all these things happening on the market, we want to capture it, of course, and we want to make sure we grow faster than the market. And I would be happy to take more deals from our competitors. So to achieve this, we have now developed we have done an updated strategy. And this is something that we will present now on the Capital Market Day that we will have in Stockholm on June 8th. So I hope that you have the possibility to come. And if you cannot come in person, there will also be an online session, of course, recorded material afterwards. So that's pretty much what I had to say about Pricer.
Thank you so much for that introduction and the presentation, Magnus. It's very nice to hear your thoughts, given that you're fairly new in the CEO role.
Thank you.
Initially, could you talk a little bit on why a reputable customer such as Carrefour or Best Buy, why do they choose you? Is it a combination of all the things you are talking about? Is it about price? What makes them choose you as a supplier?
I think that the key reason has been the reliability of the system. So what both companies have done, and also Canadian Tire, is that they have had pretty thorough procurement processes where, of course, we've been discussing price and functionality, but above all, they've been testing and testing and testing and testing, because they want to make sure that the ESLs works in the retail environment. And if they want to do a high number of display updates, if they want to do a lot of flashing, if they want to make sure that the battery lasts long, and they want to make sure that the response time is good. So we offer a better response time than competition as well. I mean, that's what they wanted to test. And when they've done the test, they realized we came out the winner. And so I think that's the reason.
That's very interesting. And some of the companies you mentioned are obviously very, very big customers, but you also have a smaller companies in your broad base. What would you say is the optimal customer for you? Is it to go for these larger companies, or is it for the smaller ones, or is it a combination? How does that matter for you?
I think it's a combination. I think it's about the go-to-market model. So we work with direct sales, but we also work with partner sales. And here we have a wide range of partners. We have large partners that has the ability to deal with really large retail customers in their country or in countries. And then they will drive much of the business, and they will, of course, add a lot of value in the work they do. Then we have smaller ones where they address small stores, or it could be special type stores. You could say that we have a retailer or a partner that would just do pharmacies in the country. So it's really a mix. And I think that we are in good position to both take the major contracts with the biggest retailers, but also I'm happy to see that we can serve the smaller ones.
And I know that in recent year, the North American market has gained really good traction, particularly for you as a company. What would you say has happened in the North American market that has driven this increased penetration of ESL solutions?
I think that what we see is a number of things. One is actually the lack of labor. But there has been a few retailers that were quite fast working with or quite early working with the efficiency in how to work in the store. If you take Best Buy, under Hubert Joly, who was the CEO at the time they made the decision, he was struggling to turn Best Buy around from a company that had a pretty tough time. And his idea was that he wanted to have his staff focus on the customers and add an exceptional customer value to their shoppers. And then he wanted to make sure that, of course, they should have to spend less time with all the administration around it, but also about the presentation, that it was a nice design or nice display, very clear information. So that was one key driver. And then we can see that it's been very much non-grocery, a lot of specialty stores. We actually have the world's biggest furniture store in Nebraska Furniture Market in Dallas. I just visited them a few days ago. It's massive. And here our ability to really deploy at scale was one of the key things, where they say that it's a difficult environment. It's hard to make it work. But we do, and we definitely add a value. It's to the extent where actually, it's really funny that when the store staff realize that we are there, the partner there, some of them come to hug us and say, well, I'm so happy you made it work. And this sounds very cheesy, I know.
It's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
And I know for the past few years, you have had Pricer Plaza out in the market. How has the sales conversation changed over these 3 years when you have had, or approximately 3 years when you have had the product in the market? Is it starting to loosen up in terms of the sales process, etc., or how do you sell this solution?
It absolutely is. In the beginning, it was much about proving that we actually know how to build a SaaS solution, that we have a credibility, that we understand the complexity, that we can assure the security. So as part of also this, to really show how serious we are, we did the certification for ISO 27001, which is the security certification. So that we've done, and now we've come to a point where we can say that SaaS is pretty much the preferred choice for most of the retailers that we discuss with.
And are you looking to enhance the software through even more partner integrations, etc.? I know you touched upon the subject during the presentation as well.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that we have an easy to engage with platform with good ways of integrating and being a part of what we do. And this is a journey we're starting right now. But also we're filling up with our own functions and functionalities and new features through Plaza. So, but I do expect to work with more partners as Plaza partners into the future.
It's very interesting. I know that it's a question that I've asked previous CEOs, and I'm just gonna ask you as well. Is M&A going to be a topic for you in mind when talking about the software solutions, etc., or would you say that it's rather an organic focus primarily, and then adding these types of software?
So we're looking at right now at organic growth, but we are opportunistic, and if we have the right opportunity, I'm sure we will see what it could bring.
Very interesting to hear. I think our time is up. So thank you so much for attending here today, Magnus. It was a real pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.